Okay, these are the round pins, and again it has the small wings and the big wings. On this thing, the big wings are a little bit too wide to fit easily into the crimper, so I actually just bent them in a little bit with a pair of needle nose pliers. Then you can stick them in the same slot as before. On the crimping tool, and get your wire ready. Twist it, make sure it's clean and shiny copper. Lie it into the pin and crunch away. Okay. Crimped. And again, it's probably not supposed to do it this way, but I'm going to give it a little squeeze with the even smaller crimping jaws, just for insurance. Now once you do that, to release the tool, you have to pop the little release thing down here. Okay. So, got 2 pins installed so far, got a bunch to go. Okay, I've got all my pins attached. I've got my plug that's been cleaned out and blown dry. I didn't replace the boot because the boot's round and there's no obvious round boot in the kit. So I'm presuming I'm supposed to use the same one. Because of that, the yellow plastic thing I left on, which kind of helps on getting the wires in the correct sequence. So I'd already written down from before that slot number 1 has the white wire. So let's put the white wire in slot number 1. I found probably one of the hardest things is getting the pins out, even with a clever tool. 80% of the time they'll pop right out. 20% of the time they're a pain in the ass. You'll pull the insulation off the wire and the pin won't come out. In the instructions he talks about you pump this thing up and down so you can feel it wiggle. I know that's not obvious, but it does seem to make a difference, and the more wiggle you have, the better chance you have of getting it out. And then when you feel it wiggling, you push it forward as much as you can, put the tool in, press it down, and then pray. Hey, it worked! Now just to show you, that one I just pulled out was a piece of cake. The second one did exactly the same technique, and it took me about 4 minutes to get the damn thing out after pulling almost all the wire away. The Motronic plugs, even though they look daunting with all those pins, the fact that you don't have to remove the old pins, I actually did the second one behind the driver's seat in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I was probably more panicked about doing those plugs than anything else, and they're actually easier than finding all these damn little plugs on short wires and trying to remove those. These are the hard ones. The Motronic plugs are really not bad. Okay, for the computer plug, you pop this thing forward, swing the whole thing. It hinges back here. This part comes out, then the whole thing comes off. Unscrew the screw here. Pull back the rubber cover. I already took the 2 screws off the back here, and then you wonder how the hell does it come out. Take your pick, stick it in the screw hole, and push. And there's your collection of wires you're going to redo. I'll also point out that obviously I took the front seat out to gain access, and the rubber boot back here, you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling so you can get the plastic cover pretty far back. Then I'm going to unwrap the tape from the wires, and hopefully that'll make it a little easier to gain access to the 8,000 wires here. Okay, I started with the back farthest out, and you have to do a one wire by one wire according to the instruction. So I clipped the blue wire there, crimped on my new thing, have my new plug, get the orientation correct, which will be like that. Take my blue wire, and it goes in the farthest hole. Okay. Okay. Some of these wires coming into the block are actually two wires into one slot, but that doesn't seem to be a big deal. The clips take it without any problem. Over time I've found when I put a new pin in the pliers, 3 clicks is really the preferred method to keep it from falling out. So I keep it loaded at 3 clicks. With my double wire here, I try and twist them together. And keep them equidistant. And once again, I found that doing it on the regular slot initially and then going to the farther out smaller slot for another couple squeezes works much better. But after you do that, you have to pop the lock here at the bottom of the handle to release the whole thing. But then it looks good and it's quite secure. Well, the good news is I'm almost halfway through the changeover here. Believe it or not, this is actually a little easier than the ones in the back because you don't have to pop all the old pins out. You just leave them in, you cut the wires off, you just do it one by one. You just have to be careful because there are spaces in between. So you check and you double check and you triple check before you plug it in. The other thing I found is you really need to make sure that they are all snapped in. Because there's so many wires, it's easy to have one almost snapped in, but not quite. So double check it to make sure you are snapped. Okay, a couple hours later, not much cussing, no bleeding fingers, and you might be able to see the sparkling gold of all the new contacts. It was actually not too hard getting it back into the casing and getting the rubber thing back down. All I have to do is pop it in and lock it down, and then I have to do the next one. Okay, on to the second one. And the first 4 here. Go one for the 5th. Clip it off. Strip it down. Give it a twist. Clip on the pin. Click it on the small one. Hit the release button. And double check that it's going to go in the 5th hole right next to the other ones. And pop it in. And make sure that it's clicked in. Okay, there's one down.